Hello and welcome to our Creative Futures Fund information session. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land where I am based, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the many lands from where you will be viewing this video. The most recent Creative Futures Fund round invested in 7 projects that are First Nations led or created in collaboration with First Nations artists, and it's a privilege to be able to watch their compelling creative visions come to life. I'm Wendy Martin, Director of the Creative Futures Fund, and I'm joined by my colleague, Nikki Ralston, who is the manager of the fund. So today, we're going to give you an overview of the fund, its aims, the priorities of this round, and we'll explain how applications are going to be assessed. We'll also share some practical advice on common questions that we receive to help you decide whether the fund is the right fit for your project. The Creative Futures Fund invests in bold new work across all art forms that tell Australian stories and strive for next level scale, ambition, and impact. The fund was a commitment of the government's National Cultural Policy Revive, which was designed to support artists and organisations to dream big and pursue ambitious creative projects in any art form. This is its 3rd iteration, and our guidelines have evolved in response to changing sector needs and stakeholder feedback. In this round, we're seeking projects with a clear and compelling creative vision and projects that tell a distinctive Australian story. It's intended that they will engage and benefit Australian audiences. And a very important aspect of this fund is that projects must come with significant partnerships and the ability to leverage other investment. There are 2 investment streams. The development stream invests between 150,000 and 250,000, which is available for up to 2 years. In the delivery stream, investment between 250,000 and 1.5 million is available for up to 3 years. There are some key differences between the 2 streams, which you will see are explained clearly in the guidelines. We also have an online checklist to help you work out which stream is most appropriate for your project. We also may make strategic investments. These are in addition to the delivery and development streams and are target investments in projects that are intended to align with aims of the fund and strategic priorities that will be identified in consultation with the sector. Proposals may be sought from relevant organisations and consortia, and the stream is not open for applications. But that said, if you have a great idea that you believe might be fit for purpose, please do send us an email. Presentation, however, we're going to focus on the 2 open application streams, development and delivery. Over to you, Nikki.
Thank you, Wendy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our guidelines, which are up on the website. They are very detailed. They cover the aims and priorities of this round, eligibility, how to apply, and how applications are assessed. You can also review the application questions and the assessment criteria for each stream, and you can actually download a Word document with the questions so you can start taking notes and drafting your application offline if you would like to. So the first thing you'll probably want to do is just double check that your organisation and your project are eligible for the fund. In this round, the fund is open to Australian organisations. This includes not-for-profit and commercial organisations. It's not open to individuals as lead applicants, but we do really want to see applications from organisations that can demonstrate real collaboration with artists and where the artist voice is clearly driving both the project and the application. This fund is open to all art forms, and it's about creating and sharing distinctly Australian stories. So projects must be developing or delivering a work that will connect with contemporary Australian audiences and where intellectual property is majority Australian owned. Story doesn't have to be a narrative, and story doesn't have to be literal or like stereotypically Australian. So obviously, the beauty of Australia, particularly from a creative perspective, is that it encompasses a multitude of different stories and perspectives and experiences. And we certainly want this fund to reflect that. We can only accept one application per applicant per investment stream. So while you can submit to both streams, we suggest that you apply to only one to concentrate your resources. It is unlikely that we would fund more than one application from the one applicant in each round. As Wendy said, the key priorities for this round, we're looking for big, exciting projects that can demonstrate creative ambition and achieve significant, meaningful audience impact. Projects also have to be viable, and we are really looking for projects that can also demonstrate the potential for long-term sustainability as well. The application process is the same as last year, so that's a two-stage process. Stage one is a full application in our application management system, and then a small number of shortlisted applicants will be invited to stage two. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We're aware we're asking for a very detailed application up front, and we know this takes time and resources and energy to complete. So please consider the guidelines. Think carefully about whether your project is a good fit for this fund, and you are very welcome to make a time to speak to us about your project idea, and Wendy and I can give you guidance on that as well. So stage one and how it will be assessed. So all applications will be assessed by industry advisors. That means we will pull together some multi-art form panels, and they will include industry and sector experts with diverse experience. The industry advisors will score applications against the three criteria. And we provide the advisors with really detailed scoring guides with prompts under each criterion. You can also review those prompts in the assessment section in our guidelines. So quality will focus on creative ambition. This is where advisors will look at the strength of the artistic vision, creative team, quality of previous work, and how Creative Futures Fund investment will enable the project to achieve next level scale and ambition. The second criterion is impact for audiences. This includes audiences and participants as well. And this is where applicants can choose to respond to one or more of the following areas of audience impact. So that's reach, which is essentially how you'll reach large numbers of audiences. Audience development, which is about engaging new and diverse audiences. And legacy impact, and that's really about that deep, lasting audience benefit. The third criterion is viability. So as I said, project needs to show how it will be able to be delivered as planned, and we'll look at activity plans, budgets, partnerships, track record, and as Wendy said, crucially, levels of co-investment and partnerships. We're also looking for that long-term sustainability as well. So once they have been assessed, there'll be a panel meeting and the industry advisors will advise Creative Australia on which projects to prioritise for stage two. And then we will undertake an internal moderation with representatives from relevant teams and make the final decision on which applicants are shortlisted. So that's stage one. And then stage two, if your application is shortlisted, you'll be invited to submit compulsory support materials. And some projects may also be asked for project-specific information. The materials will be different for each stream, but they will include things like audience and marketing plans, risk management plans, and evaluation plans. All stage two materials will be submitted by email, so shortlisted applicants will not need to complete a second application form. Those stage two materials will be assessed within the context of the original stage one application and assessment process. The assessment will be done internally, but we may also draw on external expertise if required. Then there's the final moderation process. And sorry, I've just swapped slides and I'm going to go back. There we go. There's a final moderation process, and that's where we'll be looking at the recommended investments as a whole. So the aim there is to ensure that the final suite of funded projects will have an impact across the breadth of the arts and cultural sector and also the breadth of Australian audiences as well. Um, so as we've said, this fund is open to both commercial and not-for-profit applicants. For projects that are led by a commercial entity, or for projects where the lead applicant is a not-for-profit organisation but working in close partnership with a commercial entity, we are going to ask an additional question in the form, and that's asking those applicants to explain how the project will benefit not-for-profit partners or the wider arts sector. If projects in these categories are successful, then we may negotiate a bespoke recoupable funding agreement, which means we'll seek to recoup some or all of our investment in the project. Any money that recouped, crucially, will return to the fund and be reinvested back into the sector. So the application form does include some questions to help us understand whether recoupment may apply and what terms may be appropriate. It's really important to note that responses to questions about recoupment will not be considered as part of the assessment or decision-making process at all. They're simply there to inform a possible recoupment model if the project is successful. So quick timeline. Key dates to remember in this third round. So the stage 1 applications close 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the 29th of September. We will aim to notify applicants of the outcome in December. And then those invited to submit supplementary materials for stage 2 will be given a deadline in February 2027. We'll be able to advise those stage 2 applicants of final outcomes in May 2027, and projects can commence from July 2027. So this is a long process. We're asking you to think ahead. It's really about planning forward for the second half of next year. And of course, in terms of the application, please build in enough time to review the guidelines, gather partner information, and prepare a strong application before that stage 1 deadline. Over to you, Wendy.
So some general advice about the fund. First of all, what won't we support? We will not support projects unless they are focused on an ambitious creative outcome that will engage and benefit Australian audiences. For example, the Creative Futures Fund is not designed to support projects primarily focused on capital works or projects setting up art form hubs or service networks. We are absolutely focused on singular projects. Neither are we designed to support organizational development skills or skills development that is not directly integrated into a creative project for the public. Individual artists are not eligible to apply in this investment cycle. However, we absolutely will support organizations that are collaborating with or working in partnership with individual artists and groups. So what are we prioritizing? As we've said, bold, ambitious projects of exceptional creative quality is what we're looking for. We want to support exciting new work and the redevelopment and adaptation of existing works to take them to the next level of scale, ambition, and impact. We want to support projects that tell Australian stories on an international stage, but projects that are presenting or touring international must also have an outcome and impact for Australian audiences. Nikki.
Thanks, Wendy. It's important to just remind you too that there are some key differences in what we're looking for between the development and the delivery streams. And we've got that in detail in the guidelines, but we've also got some great checklists on the website as well. So you can sort of go through thinking about your project and just make sure that you're applying to the stream that's most appropriate. It's also worth remembering that the Creative Futures Fund is slightly different to some other grant programs. So this is not something where you tell us what you want to do, we fund you, you do it, acquit it. we have no further contact. Successful recipients in this fund will enter into an investment agreement that reflects the context of each individual proposal. And we will monitor the progress of funded projects. We will maintain ongoing communication with recipients, and we'll also just be available to provide support and guidance as projects progress and evolve. We also really want to champion project outcomes and stories as impact as they emerge. So we may ask recipients to participate in evaluation and communication activities, and also just stay in touch and share exciting news and updates with us along the way. And that's it from us. So if you have any questions about your project or application content, please do get in touch. You can email us on that Creative Futures Fund email address on the screen. And Wendy and I are available to make times to meet and talk with you and support you with specific questions as you prepare your application. If you have an eligibility or an application management system question, then please contact our excellent artist services team using the phone numbers or the inquiries email on the screen. Thank you very much for watching, and we're really looking forward to receiving your applications.